بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Tuesday, the 25th of January, 2022. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 294. And these days, we are looking at the meanings of the words of chapter 2, the cow, Al-Baqarah, verse 97. I was hoping to cover the last two words of this verse today, but I only managed to cover the first verse, the first of the two words. Just to remind you that these broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which was founded by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that although people want to bring another prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained this by saying, La Nabi Abadi, there is no prophet after me. So now no prophet can come, whether it is an old prophet or a new prophet. And he also taught us that the Holy Prophet had said, if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are a kafir, you are a heretic, you are not a Muslim, it is the person uttering those words who is actually the kafir or the heretic. Because these differences will arise when a reformer, and reformers have been promised by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, appears and tries to correct people's beliefs. Like people believe that part of the prophetic revelation is not in the Holy Quran. Surah Rajam is not in the Holy Quran. Ayah Walayat is not in the Holy Quran, whereas Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that the Holy Quran is said, in the Holy Quran, Allah has said, I have revealed it and I will guard it. So how can anything be missing from the Holy Quran? Similarly, people believe that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. There are people who believe that more than 500 verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib taught that no verse of the Holy Quran was or is or ever shall be abrogated. And most of all, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad stressed that jihad is a duty of every Muslim. But jihad is defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who, when returning from fighting, said to his companions that He said to his companions that Muslims were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad. And explained that the major jihad is a jihad bin nafs, a jihad with your own self, a jihad to subdue your own desires. But of course, if there is need for fighting, then you have to fight to protect yourself, your community, human rights, and so on. So let us turn to what we're going to talk about today. Verse 97 of the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل من كان عدوا لجبريل فإنه نزله على قلبك بإذن الله مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. Say, whoever is an enemy to Gabriel, for surely he revealed it to your heart by Allah's command, verifying that which is before it, and a guidance and glad tidings for the believers. So we are going to look at not the last word, second last word, Wabushra. Well, Wa is actually a connecting word. It simply means and. So let us turn to my notes. I had a lot of problems with notes during the previous Urdu broadcast. They kept on disappearing. So let's hope I have better luck in this session. So the masdar, the triliteral root, is ba sheen ra, and the words made up with this root appear in the Holy Quran 123 times, and we have 11 different words made from these three. 38 times we have Bushira, and 37 times we have Bashar, and 15 times we have Bushra, and 9 times we have Bashir, and 7 times we have Yes Tabshiru, and then others are less than that. 3 times and 2 times and all this kind of thing. So let us go to the dictionary and see what it means. And this word al-basharatu refers to the outside of a man's skin, a human skin. Actually, I said man, but a human being's skin. And it is said that this indicates that it's a living creature without much hair on the skin. Because we know most animals, they have wool and lots of hairs or something else, and it's human skin that is free from these. Sorry, I'm beginning to cough, so I'll put this tablet in my mouth. And its dual is Basharain. Just to explain in English, we have singular and plural. Men, man, men, boy, boys. But in Arabic, you have three. You have singular, you have dual, and you have plural. Dual means a couple, two. As in the verse, Anu minu ribasharini mislina, chapter 23, verse 47. And that is, should we believe in two people, two men who are just like us? There is no difference. So wherever this word is used to indicate humans in the Holy Quran, it stands for what you can see, what is apparent, his physical makeup. وَهُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ مِنَ الْمَاءِ بَشَرًا, chapter 25, verse 54. And he it is who created man from water. See the use of word bashara for human beings and ma, water. Inni khaliqun basharam min teen, chapter 28, verse 71. And I'm going to create humans with dust. Now, you see, the thing is that a lot of dictionaries and so on, and in these notes here, I see that it refers to man. This is an old-fashioned generic term, and really, I didn't think of this during the Urdu broadcast because it didn't occur to me, but we should be saying humans. It doesn't just mean men, as in males and females, but it stands for human beings. So, like in verse 28, chapter 28, verse 71, Inni khaliqun basharam min teen. So, when we look at this verse that I just recited a few minutes ago as well, that I'm going to create, the notes say, man from dust. What about women? What are they made of? So the man here is not human, is not gender man, but it means human beings. But anyway, the non-believers or unbelievers used to use that as a term of insult for the prophets, because they had this idea that prophets should be, I don't know, walk on air and be somehow different, and if you cut them, they wouldn't bleed and they wouldn't need to eat, or they wouldn't need to have wives and this kind of thing. And the Holy Quran mentions this, not the whole thing, but it summarizes that they say, in haza illa qawlul bashar. This referring to prophets. and their message, they'd say, this is not divine revelation. This is just a human being making things up. Or in chapter 54, verse 24, Basharam minna wahidan nattabi'uhu. Well, he's just a man from among us. So, because a lot of prophets came from humble background, Jesus and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and so on. And their idea was that, he'll be some great man, very rich, very powerful, and so on. And they'd say, well, you just, a member of the public. And, they said to the prophets, Ma antum illa basharam misluna. No, you're nothing. You're just another human being. You're just like us. And this is why they resented having to obey and accept the prophets, because they thought, well, we've got more money, we've got more political influence, and this man who's just a member of the public, he's telling us that he is a prophet of Allah, and we have to obey him, and we have to be guarded by him, and all this kind of thing. How is that possible? This is why they thought that this somehow made the prophet lower in dignity. And the Quran says in chapter 18, verse 110, Innama ana basharum mislukum. Yes, I agree. I am a human being, just like any human being, and in my physical needs and so on. And, they would say, well, what kind of prophet is this? He walks in the streets amongst us. He eats like us. All his needs and so on, everything is just like us. As if they wanted a prophet to, I don't know, have wings or fly in the air rather than walk and not need to eat and all this kind of thing. But the Holy Quran responds to it by saying, no. The whole point is that he's just a human being like you. But what distinguishes him from you is his character and his morals, the way he behaves. And he's superior to you, he's made superior to you by Allah, by endowing him with wahi, with divine converse. So, yuha ilayya. Yes, I'm a human being, but I'm distinguished by the fact that I receive divine revelation. And another meaning of bashar is touch. And Mary says this, Walam yam sasni bashar, chapter 19, verse 20. But no human, no man has touched me. Or Fatamassala laha basharan sabiyya, chapter 19, verse 17. And he then took the form of a handsome man. This is an angel who took the form of a human being. So, and another meaning of this thing is al-mubasharatu. Mubasharat is intimate relations between a man and a woman. Literally, it means when skins touch each other, when one person's skin touches another person's skin. So from that, this an extension is this meaning, intimate relations. Wala tubarishu, tubashiru hunna. Wa antum akifun. Chapter 2, verse 187. And when you go to mosques and you're in seclusion, then do not have intimate relations. Or chapter 2, verse 27, Fa'lana bashiruhun. And then now at that time you're entitled to have relations, intimate relations with them. And another, its use is that you say that may Allah make what is visible and not visible of his skin to be good. What it literally means is, may his values, his virtues, which others can see and others can't see, they both may be good. And then we have abshartur rajulu wa bashartuhu wa bashartuhu. That is to deliver some happy news, some good news, and such news that their effect is apparent on a person's face. Well, we know, we in English we say this, don't we? You look happy. How does one look happy? It's the expression on the face, on the skin. You may be smiling, and in English we have this expression, you're glowing with happiness. And what happens is, if you're happy, in fact, but in many different emotions, your heart begins to pump faster, and you have blood flowing through faster, and this shows in your face. When you're happy, when you're sad, when you're trying to concentrate, etc. So Inna Allahu yubashiruk, chapter 3, verse 52. Then it means that, God is giving you news, basharat, news that will make you happy, news whose effect will be shown in your face. I say happy, but it is any news that will show its effect in your face. For example, when in chapter 36, verse 11, it says, فَبِشَرْهُ بِمَغْفِرَةٍ, and give them the news that they are forgiven. So this is obviously good news. And istabshara means to be pleased, to be happy, as in chapter 39, verse 45. And when God says that those who were left behind and they didn't join the ranks of the martyrs, they were very happy. They were very pleased. وَيَسْتَبْشِرُونَ بِالَّذِينَ لَهُمْ يَلْحَقُوا بِهِمْ مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. And so on. And then in chapter 3, verse 171, you have Yastabshiruna bi ni'matim minallahi wa fadl. And that God's blessings and his rewards, etc., and they are happy. They're making them happy. And then you have, of course, Lahumul Bushra fil Hayati Dunya wa fil Akhirati, chapter 10, verse 64. That in the hereafter and this life, there are good news in both lives, here and in the hereafter. And in fact, elsewhere the Holy Quran says, here we are, فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. And the only good news that can be given to them is Azabin Alim. And that is, you might say, why is that good news? And it is, in fact, Allah saying, well, that's all you're going to get. That is the best you can expect in the hereafter. Because of your deeds in the life that you've left behind. Then we have فَلَمَّا أَنْجَا الْبَشِيرُ أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا. And then the person bearing good news came, and Yaqub then put a covering on his face and so on. But here is an interesting one. هُوَ الَّذِي يَرْسِلُ الرِّيَاحَ مُبَشِّرًا. Chapter 30, verse 46. He sends winds and they bring glad tidings. Now the interesting thing is, هُوَ الَّذِي يُرْسِلُ. Here, wind is called God's messenger, Rasul. And the good news presumably is rain. And of course, we have the hadith. إن قطع الوحي ولم يبق إلا المبشرا. And that says that wahi, meaning prophetic revelation, has ended, but good news remained. Now, some people say, well, this means that all wahi, all revelation from God has come to an end. If that is the case, then who's bringing these good news? What it actually means is that wahi and nabuwat, no prophet can come, so there will be no prophetic revelation, which is a special type of revelation from Allah to those who are entrusted with the tasks of guiding humanity. Illal mubashirat. Mubashirat also comes from God, these glad news. Otherwise, how do we know it's not just a rumor? How do we know, it's someone not just making this up? It can only be true, we can only depend on it and trust it if it came from God. And so this is another expression for this is Wahiya Vilayat. And that is God's revelation, divine converse with a Waliullah. So these are people who are not prophets, but God still speaks to them. And then وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. chapter 41, verse 30. So be happy, celebrate happiness of the heavens of which you have a promise. So God says we should be happy that if we do good deeds, we have been promised heavens. And the last thing I want to say is that when we talk about expression on the face, you have all manner of expressions on your face. You have happiness, you have anger, you have distress, and so on. And your skin, your outward appearance, is what makes it obvious to people that you're either happy or you're sad or whatever condition that you're in. I'm told that we are overrunning our time. So with this prayer, that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye.